Okay, so this is economy and sustainability of homestead garden vegetables, etc. And we're going to do a countdown just like we did with the animals. Take a look at our animal countdown. The number 7 is going to be carrots. Carrots are a good starch supply for survivability if something hit the fan.
They're also tasty.
They can get quite large, and they don't take up a lot of room, as you can see. They're not that easy to produce as far as they're labor intensive, because you have to do a lot of watering and coddling them and weeding them and blah blah blah. But as far as like usability, of course, they're pretty easy because you can eat them raw. So the problem with carrots is they're one and done. You pulled it out, you're done. There's nothing else you can do with it. There's no harvest of the upper crop. There's no regrowing. There's nothing. So it's just one and done. And they don't go to seed very easily. You have to harvest it, put it back in the ground over winter, and then you'll get something in the spring. I've had carrots go to seed exactly once in probably 20 years of homesteading. So not necessarily the best. Number 6 is beets. Beets are also a starch.
We grow 2 kinds of beets.
Part of why they're a little better in our book is because beets are easy to grow. You can harvest the tops, and then at the end of the season you can harvest the root. Those are a fodder beet as far as like growing for your animals. They can be up to 40 pounds, so they're a nice sized beet. They're not very good for people though. If you were starving, maybe you would want to eat it, but I wouldn't want to eat it probably even then. So the drawback is they don't go to seed very easily. So you're not self-sustaining on the seed production. Same thing as with the carrots, you got to leave them to overwinter. Next year, maybe it'll go to seed. That's happened once in 20 years of homesteading. Okay, Swiss chard we have as number 5 because it's continually productive. You don't want to eat too much of it raw, however, so you have a drawback there. And it goes to seed very, very easily. And the seed is easily harvested, whereas some other seeds are hard to harvest.
See the regrowth here from where we've cut some, and we've got tender new growth coming here all the time.
And that will stay. Part of the reason it's further down toward number 1 on our list is because they're known for keeping through the winter. Even in the hardest frost, if you cover it a little bit, you still have greens through the winter. So, number 4, legumes. We grow blue lake bush beans. They grow easily.
If we grow peas, we grow little marble bush peas.
On a good year, they grow easily. This was not a good year.
They're not really bush peas, though. They're climbing, I guess.
But they produce more and more through the season. You know, you get at least like 10 pickings, and you can get very, very good production. On a good year, we get 150 quarts per season on a short row like this that's block planted. This is not a good year. But the seed is supposed to be easily kept. It sounds good in theory. I've left some.
Let's see if we can.
I've left some down here to try to see if it'll go to seed. But bean seeds are hard to tell when they're done. So I've had not much luck keeping seeds. You keep it too little a time and it's not done enough. You keep it too long, especially in this country, and it's rotted and you thought it was still just going along. So you're supposed to wait for it to be kind of yellowy and whatever, but it's a fine line with beans, and I've not successfully kept seed, even though they easily go to seed.
These are easier, but they're not as productive.
Yep. So, number 3. Back we go. Down the garden row. We'll see how well you can see it. It's actually sun shining pretty good out here. But number 3 is apple trees. You're not taking up a lot of space, and they can be highly, highly productive. And of course, it's a permanent crop. So you don't have to worry about reseeding. It's already there. And on a good year, we're getting buckets and buckets and buckets of apples, particularly off of our yellow transparent, and that helps feed us. You can have as much applesauce and apple products as you want, and it helps feed something like your pigs.
If the bears don't eat them.
If the bears don't eat them. This year they ate them all. Number 2. Back down the garden row. Number 2 on our list is pumpkins. And that is because they produce a lot of pumpkins.
Your weight for the amount of seed you had was a really good
Conversion. So the other reason is because the seed is easy to keep. Even we can do it. We have successfully kept seed.
We grow 2 kinds of pumpkins. We grow a small pie pumpkin that's very sweet, and we grow a really large pumpkin for the animals.
So they can, and you can plant these, dot these around your property and plant them everywhere, and have and they also keep very nicely, even through the winter.
This plant here is a volunteer, so we didn't even plant this, and we've got pumpkins crawling everywhere off of it.
Okay, so the number 1 sustainability plant we would recommend is potatoes. Ooh, that's a nice one. And that's because they reseed themselves. Some people see that as a drawback. As a homesteader, I see that as a benefit. They are able to you're able to keep the seed. I mean, this is just ready to go. It's a starch, which is what we need to survive. Potatoes are a whole food. You can survive on nothing but potatoes and milk. I haven't tried that, but it's close.
Well, technically speaking, there's 2 ways to grow potatoes. One of them is to save the potato fruit that sometimes will grow on the top of the plant, and you can get seeds from that. And then you'll also get the tuber as an option.
So the other thing is sometimes on a year, if you've gotten started early, you can get a second crop. And that's one of the good things about a lot of these crops here too, is you can get a second crop of carrots, you can get a second crop of beets, because it's only 60 days to harvest, so they've got a low harvest time.
You do have to hurry if you're in an area like us that has a fairly short growing season though.
So this is our recommendation for the economy and sustainability of homestead gardening. And you're able to survive on a lot of this stuff without necessity to resupply. This is our best advice.